Welcome back then, team. Going to talk through the conditioning for the climb phase now. Mondays we're going to be working a mixed modal aerobic conditioning block. Okay, we can see our mountain has returned. This is going to be an accumulation phase where we're going to accumulate volume of aerobic mixed modal work. Okay, this is going to be continuous work moving between ergs and low skill movements. Okay, and we're looking for constant work for that 5 minutes. Okay, the 5 minutes that it's going to be for this first phase. So we might start on a rower, work for a minute, move on to wall balls, work for a minute, enter bike, work for a minute, burpees, work for a minute, ski, work for a minute, and then we'll rest and we'll repeat that for multiple sets. Okay, and what we're doing here is improving our ability to just constantly work for a given period of time. Okay, often maybe when we're doing a CrossFit workout, there's bits where we have to stop, aren't there? You know, I have to stop before I then go for another heavy clean, and so I rest for 20 seconds and my body trains in that domain. I have to rest here because I can't hit another ring muscle up, so I'll rest for 15 seconds. Whereas to get better at, let's say 25.1, that low skill mid-time domain open style workout, we've got to get better at just working constantly, and that's why we're going to be broadening that base, accumulating time of low skill, low intensity mixed modal work. That's what we're doing here. Okay, I've already talked through the why. Building and broadening the base, focusing on performing well in low skill mid-time domain open style workouts. Okay, and the only way we're going to do that is just by building time doing it. Okay, and it can't be at an intensity where at some point I need to stop and not do anything. Okay, it needs to be at an intensity where I work constantly for that period. Then alongside that, there's Fraser making sure you are working hard. We're going to be doing a 30-minute bike progression. Okay, so it's going to start, I'm afraid, with 30-minute max cal, max average watts on the bike. And then we're going to go into a progression on that. And there's going to be a good amount of long, steady state intervals. Okay, so just working at that 30-minute threshold pace for a long period, building our duration, building our base. But then layered into that are going to be some shorter, faster, higher threshold intervals, like if someone was, Fraser there, was shouting at you as you're trying to bury yourself for the last minute of the 30 minutes. Okay, so again, increasing that peak, building that base. The why, like I said, building and broadening the aerobic base, increasing our lactate threshold, that ability to push under fatigue in the legs, and then improving our bike-specific muscle endurance. Then on a Friday, we're going to be mixing alternating weeks, an A week and a B week, between a low stroke rate row progression and then some mixed erg conditioning. Okay, the low stroke rate row is going to be, let's say, 4 minutes, working at 18 to 20 strokes per minute, so potentially lower than you would in a regular workout or when usually doing your row. And then we've also got some zone 3 mixed erg conditioning. If you don't know your heart rates and don't have wearables that can track that, then just there'll be some guidance on that. But we're thinking I'm not having a brew and a chat like maybe if I was doing my zone 2 work, but I'm also not absolutely melting myself like if I was doing a proper workout. I'm somewhere in between. Okay, the lower stroke rate sessions are going to build stroke consistency and stroke power. Okay, so if I can generate good power at 18 strokes per minute, it'll then transfer up the chain. Okay, and we're also just looking at our technique and our consistency. It's going to be quite a long time to be working at that low rate, and so I'll need to be efficient and technically proficient in my rowing pool. And then our zone 3 mixed erg conditioning is going to improve our aerobic endurance, that base, and build our threshold. Brilliant. Final thing to look at then is our metcons, our workouts for this phase. Hey there, team. Finally, I'm going to talk you through the workouts that we've got to get after, the metcons. First up, 2 for Tuesdays. This is going to be a 2-part workout every Tuesday where we're going to be hitting an AMRAP, followed by the rounds and reps achieved in the AMRAP as a chipper for time. Now, I was pumped with the name 2 for Tuesday, buzzing with it, thought I'd come up with something really cool, really funny. And then Steve messaged me an hour ago or so telling me that he'd thought of it years ago and I haven't come up with it. So if you haven't heard it before, give me the credit. If you have, so's about me. Now, what these workouts are going to be an AMRAP. And these might be, let's say, 3, 6, 9, 12 of wall balls and box jump overs. Would work as far up that AMRAP as I could. Let's say I got to 15 reps of each. And then I'd rest for a bit, say 3 minutes, and then work back down as a chipper for time, okay? It's not always going to be that format, but that's an example, okay? So then I go 15, 12, 9, 6, as fast as I could. Why are we doing that? It's going to be improving our ability to tackle different workouts and different strategies, okay? Often when I've got an AMRAP where I'm not sure how far I'm going to get, I've got to gauge it slightly differently than when I've got a for time workout when I know exactly what I'm doing. And if I've got an ascending rep scheme versus a descending rep scheme, I can attack it slightly differently. I might say break up power cleans from the word go if I was doing an ascending workout, but then maybe if I was doing a descending workout, I might hold on because I know I'm almost coming to the end. As well as that, it's going to just give us a big dose of sport-specific work, okay? A lot of this phase, like we said, is building that base, strict work. It's work that doesn't immediately transfer to competing in CrossFit. So having that big dose of sport-specific work on a Tuesday with 2 back-to-back workouts is going to benefit us. Then, here's the return of the mountain. We've got our Sprint Wednesdays. These are going to be sprint repeats with a bit of cycle and rep speed practice in there. They're going to be short intervals for time with movements specifically selected that can benefit from having different gears and speeds, okay? So, for example, I know thrusters can be done at multiple speeds, can't they? Okay, I can do a thruster, maybe I was doing a 20-minute AMRAP, and then if I just had to do 10 reps as fast as I could for time in a sprint, in a competition, I could do thrusters where I'm pulling them down, bouncing out the squat really fast, etc. Same with bar muscle-ups. I can do a loopy glide kip, or I can do knee tuck, very fast cycle speed bar muscle-ups. So there's going to be those thrown into those workouts to give you the chance to practice them, to make sure that you do have multiple styles for workouts that have different demands. And I've put in the notes in those workouts, if maybe doing, say, if it was thrusters and bar muscle-ups, fast thrusters and fast bar muscle-ups all at the same time is gonna be too challenging for you. Then on one interval, you can practice your speed thrusters. On another, you can practice your speed bar muscle-ups. Why are we doing that? Like we said, heightening that peak, okay? If we're always working at the same speed in the same time domain, we're always just going to be working at that speed. So by increasing the height of that peak, our rep speed, it's going to improve that middle that we're usually working in. Improving rep speed and practicing that top gear. Then, like I touched on in gymnastics, we've got skill Saturdays. These are lower intensity work rest formats with a high skill focus. Handstands are going to feature every week, and particularly high skill handstand variations like pirouettes and ramps. And layered into them as well is going to be some odd object work and some high skill gymnastic hanging work like, let's say, a gymnastics complex of toes to bar, chest to bar, bar muscle ups. There's also the option, because I know for some of us, handstand ramp work, I might need to do that in isolation. I might just need 10 minutes of practice on that. I've put in those options, so we're not always pairing our handstand skill variations with other stuff, if it'd be better for us to just work on it on its own in an even lower intensity. And why? Obviously, lower intensity practice is going to allow us to build that skill capacity. Can't always be going into high skill gymnastics under fatigue. At some point, we've got to practice them without fatigue. Then finally, our whiteboard workouts. These are our dose of sport-specific classic CrossFit Metcons that are going to feature every Friday. They're going to be your chance to test yourself against other JST athletes on the leaderboard. I think there's 2 in this first 6 week that we've done in the past as well. So you'll see some historic JST names on there that you can compare and contrast your scores to. And importantly, in this phase, most of the whiteboard workout is going to be slightly shorter in duration. Conscious that on a Monday, a Tuesday, and a Friday, we've got some long workouts to get after and long aerobic conditioning to get after. So these are going to be shorter duration workouts, And again, to practice heightening that peak, okay? There might be a 3 to 5 minute workout where I've just got to go all out. Why? Maintaining and improving competition skills and mindset, okay? If we're not continuing to practice how we compete and push against each other and the challenge of putting our name on a leaderboard, then it'll become too daunting. Allowing for adaptations of long time domain work, that's what I was talking about them being slightly shorter, and again, heightening that peak.
Okay. Right. Starting off with the mixed modal aerobic conditioning. So when you look at this session compared to what is in JST Athlete on the all-rounder, it looks pretty similar. The main difference here is that there's increased volume on the engine bias. So it simply just starts off with a few more sets in the first couple of weeks, and then we increase that as we kind of move through this first block. But all the movements are the same and the machines are the same. So if you do train with someone that's following a slightly different track, you can pretty much do the same session, but if you're following the engine bias, you've just got a few more rounds to do. Okay, so as simple as that. Obviously, the idea of that is we want to build a bigger and broader aerobic base. In addition to that, so on a Tuesday, we have our bike intervals. We also have CrossFit Tuesday. So to complement what is already in on a Tuesday, it made sense to add some monostructural work in that could be added in straight after either the bike intervals or CrossFit Tuesday. So this will alternate each week between a machine, like for example, week 1 could be machine, week 2 could be running, week 3 machine, week 4 running. So we'll kind of alternate in that format. The time that we're working for will stay the same for the first half of the block. So it'd just be a case of, right, you'll be able to look how long you're working for, conversational pace, before we kind of gradually look to build up that volume a little bit more. And it's just getting used to knowing, right, when my heart rate's at this this beats per minute, what's the number on the machine around. Okay, so just get familiar with your paces, your heart rate, where it's at when you're working at a relatively comfortable pace. Wednesday, so the additional engine bias session on a Wednesday will be more aerobic threshold based. So this will be a little bit higher intensity when compared with the other aerobic conditioning sessions throughout the week. So the other aerobic conditioning sessions throughout the week will predominantly be in and around the 6 RPE zone, making sure we're kind of in zone 2. This session's a little bit higher, so you're kind of going to be more in zone 3, touching on that threshold almost. So kind of like think of a pace that's tough, but is repeatable for the time that we give. This isn't going to build in volume at all. It's just getting you used to combinations of exercise, riding that line, making sure we can hit repeatable, consistent paces and times to things. All right. So it's not going balls to the wall. Like I say, it's slightly higher intensity, but we make sure we choose machines and low skill movements that you can control the pace on pretty well. And again, the main focus of this is building that aerobic base and getting used to riding the line and knowing how to pace movements as well. Okay, so that's what you can expect on a Wednesday. On a Friday, so we're going to have mixed aerobic. In fact, this is on a Saturday. We're going to have mixed aerobic running conditioning sessions. So these will be pretty Hyroxy in style. Obviously, loads of people are doing, at least a Hyrox, one Hyrox throughout the year, even if they're a CrossFit athlete. So it kind of made sense to have something in that that kind of ticks 2 boxes. It's like, right, okay, 1, it's helping us to build, again, your aerobic base. And then 2, running tends to come up at competitions. again, in a compromised format where, you've got running and other mixed bits to do with it. So we're kind of ticking the box of building that aerobic base while also getting used to doing some compromised running as well. So again, two birds, one stone there, which is really, really good. The volume of these mixed aerobic running conditioning sessions will stay the same, but we'll alternate it each week with a monostructural running session where the volume will be increasing. All right. So as an example, week one, we might have some monostructural running on the Tuesday. So there'll be some mixed conditioning later on in the week on the Saturday. And then week two, it could be the case where we've got some monostructural skiing on the Tuesday. And then later in the week, we've got some monostructural running where we're looking to build that volume. So every other week, we're building up the running volume. And every other week, we're kind of keep hitting some mixed aerobic running conditioning. Okay. And that kind of complements what Jamie's put in with JST Athlete for the all-rounder, where we kind of have a stroke rate rowing session one week and mixed conditioning. So it kind of alternates quite nicely and all blends together really, really nicely. Then the final additional engine bias session is our sprint Saturday. So these are sprint repeats. We've kept them on machines for the most part. So 2 of the 3 sessions will be on machines. And it'll be the case where you're looking for the most power that you can produce every time. So there's plenty of rest in between to make sure that you can recover fully. And like I say, with repeating these sessions and rotating through these sessions, you can compare your results to previous sessions. So you'll be able to kind of see how things are gradually improving. Obviously, we want to heighten that peak and practice that top gear, something that's really important for CrossFitters to have, CrossFit athletes to have, especially when, there's so many workouts that we do that are sub 5 minutes, where you do need to have that extra gear. And to be honest, no matter what the workout, it's important to be able to kind of cycle through different gears, again, to become a good, well-rounded athlete. So yeah, like I say, 2 will be machine-based, and we're going to have one mixed sprint session as well, which the sprints are a little bit longer in that mixed one too. But yeah, so that it covers all the additional engine bias sessions. Again, if you've got any questions, feel free to let me know, but hopefully that gives you a good insight into what to expect. We're building that base, we're heightening that peak, we're working both sides before later in the year we gradually bring things together. So imagine now 8% of our work's probably aerobic, base building. 10 to 15% are these sprints, and then we've got a little bit in the middle as well. And then as we move through the year, it's gradually going to meet in the middle. All right. Like I say, hopefully this has been helpful. Let us know if you have any questions.